Conservative filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza, his latest movie, big hit, Hillary's America, joins us right now. Dinesh, what's going on? Why is there so much pushback with this executive order? Is it poor communications by the White House, or is it something else?
Well, think about what this judge is doing. He's basically saying that there is no rational basis for Trump's immigration policy. It doesn't make sense to him. But the question I have is, who's in a better position to decide, a judge or the president? Remember, the president gets a daily national security briefing. He knows what's going on at the border. This judge is sitting in his chamber. He reads law books. So his real job is to hold up the order, hold up the Constitution, compare the two side by side, and see if the order contravenes anything in the Constitution, which it doesn't. So we've got in this situation where these judges are now exceeding their job and doing things that they're not in a good position to be able to know.
And here's what Donald Trump tweeted about that. Well, you can see it at home. Just pop it up when you can. He was upset that a judge, and maybe the judge is going to be should feel guilty if something happens here where someone's hit. You know, like what we saw what happened at the Louvre, like we saw what happened in Nice, France. These are people that came from outside. You want to have open hearts. You end up with you end up with a lot of deaths. But I want to bring you to something else. Do you feel as though that the Justice Department making the case for Donald Trump, President Trump, is even into this, has a heart into it? They're all Barack Obama appointees. This is not even his team.
That is true. I mean, one of the first tasks of a president is to fumigate the place, clean house, bring in his own guys. You know, I think with regard, there are some conservatives who are uncomfortable with Trump challenging these judges. But remember that the checks and balances goes both ways. If the federal judges are supposed to be a check on presidential overreach, there's nothing to say that Trump can't be a check on judicial overreach.
Right.
Checks and balances cut in both directions.
You know, people don't like the way Donald Trump was upset with the judge, but the bottom line is every executive has problems with decisions, and they all talk about it, as we know that we remember what Barack Obama did at the State of the Union address. Finally, when you talk about these protests, these are organized, they even have uniforms, they act in mass actions. Who's behind this?
Well, this is the first time, I think, in American history that we've seen this phenomenon of the paid terrorist. In the 60s, we had lots of demonstrators, but there was no sense that somebody was actually given them money to go out and burn a car or burn a store. So to me, this is this is driven by people like George Soros. I call it sort of venture hooliganism, because Soros is putting money behind these guys and actually telling them, go out and cause trouble, and there's a political agenda behind it.
You know, there was shouting back and forth in LAX. They were pro-Trump against George Soros's paid sycophants, and I'm wondering where this is going to end, because the Trump supporters, they're very proud, and they're not going to let their guy get run over. Well, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, for the first time after the D.C. protests, they charged these guys with felony rioting. I think it's important to push through with these prosecutions, because unless these guys pay a penalty, they're going to rather take the $50 because they know they'll be back on the street tomorrow.
Dinesh D'Souza, thanks so much. You were forecasting this before anyone else was, as well as the Donald Trump victory. Thanks, Dinesh.